Hello and welcome to Stampscaping 101. This is just a quick video on an previously stamped gold foil card that has been spray sealed with a Krylon UV resistant clear. Okay, now the UV resistant clear in the Krylon brand isn't really the most important part of this video, but I just wanted to show kind of the difference in a spray sealed piece of foil, okay? And it's going to be different probably with different brands of foils, and how much you spray on here too, okay? So it's not just, one standardized type of thing, but I wanted to show you the difference in texture. Now, I've laid down a lot of the white Brilliance pigment ink back here, okay? But that part up there is an exposed piece of foil, but can you tell the difference right there? See how it has a little bit of texture to it. And instead of looking like a mirrored, super smooth, glassy piece, it's a little bit more textured. Let me see if I can find, like this piece, this part right in here. Man, it's really hard to show you exactly. But it's a little bit more brushed. There's so much glare on this, okay? I guess we can see right here, okay? See how mirrored it is right there? But right here, what you have is a very thin layer of acrylic spray, which puts these tiny little beads of acrylic built up on this otherwise super smooth surface, okay? Now, one of the things I did last time, this is just a half piece of foil that, I was going to stamp on or something like that, but I put that on top of there. I thought, oh, that looks really good. Now, normally I would never mount something like this without a little type of border. Typically, I like to have a little bit of a white border around any type of card where I employ the use of like tiny little white dots, or in this case, that light in the window like that. And then we have our white pigment ink in here. And usually I like to pick that up a little bit with a tiny little, really thin border around here that kind of mimics the width of one of my little dots in there. Now I make it bigger than that because that's like a millimeter or something like that. But on here I thought that looks pretty good. And the reason why I think I can do this though is because this spray acrylic on here creates enough of a textural change between this and the foil that it allows us to do it without it looking kind of strange. I think this looks rather dimensional too. Just sitting there like that on it looks like it's been framed or something like that. I mean, it's matted or something like that. But this really looks dimensional like that, and I thought it looked pretty good. So let's give this a try here. And let's get it, tacked down on there. All right. So I think, these types of pieces like this, just with white and black ink on it, I mean, they're pretty easy to do. When we're talking about two colors, and it's really, I wouldn't say it's minimal usage, but it's certainly spare in terms of the amount of media that we apply on here, because it's just inherently dynamic enough with the gold. So oftentimes I'm just trying to mute things down, so I've just laid down some white pigment ink in the background, stamped over it in these black images. Well, before you stamp over it in the black images, I heat set it. And then I go back in, and after I stamp up my black impressions, I heat set it. So you're heat setting your layers, okay? And then I've just gone back over it with a little bit more white, so I've sandwiched the black impression in between white pigment ink. White pigment ink's on the background, and a little bit in the foreground, so you create that sandwiching effect, okay? So, I mean, that's, like I said, these are rather minimal pieces in terms of the addition of media. All right, I'm just eyeballing this like this. A lot of times I like to leave a little bit more room at the bottom, about that, with your matting or framing or something like that. Just because, I don't know, it creates a little bit more bottom weight down here. So, I don't know, I think that's a little bit wider there. Okay, so I'm just kind of I don't know, we should really flatten it out. You should really put something like this on here and just go like this so you're not touching your media on there, although it should be fairly well protected. But let's see what we have here. Now this is just a quarter size card, and this is like a half page. It must be 5.5 by 8.5, like that. But I thought that looks pretty good. But look at this. Because this is foil too, it picks up a little bit of that reflective framing on there. But even with that, without that, I think that stands out pretty decent like that. And see this textural change. You can really see it now that this is kind of matted down and nice and flat there. You can see the difference between this and this. So a lot of times, I feel that when I spray these, I'm sacrificing a little bit of this, super smooth, very mirrored surface. But, you take something like that might be a weakness, okay, of a certain type of media application. In this case, it's more sealant than anything. But then you can do something like this to it. I think it opens up some doorways in terms of that being that way, as opposed to looking like that. Because if this was exactly like this would just merge in with it, and this cloud would just come to an abrupt end like that. So it wouldn't, it wouldn't, I don't know, it wouldn't be as well, I don't know, maybe contained and framed as it is now because of the differences between that open space and that up there. So anyways, I don't know, fun stuff. Like I said, I usually double mount these, with a little bit of edging onto it. But I don't think I have to now. A lot of times, I don't know, it just didn't occur to me before because normally when I'm doing my videos, I like to finish off a card, so I might not take the time to spray seal. And I'll just spray seal it after I've already mounted it like that. So I don't know. I think that looks pretty good like that. And I think I'll start doing that, especially something like this. If you do kind of a like Christmas iconography or something like that, instead of stamping in black, a lot of times I like stamping gold and white on gold foil. So gold on and white on gold, spray sealed, and then mounted on something like this. In the smaller pieces too, like maybe the little Christmas ornament sizes. Like something like, let's see. Something like this, okay? You have gold on gold. Now see, this is gold on gold right here, right? I mean, it looks somewhat dimensional, but there's just no contrast. The only thing that tells you that this is a separate piece is this tiny little glare around it, like that. But, if you spray seal this one, it'll create just enough contrast. And look at this, you can mount it like that. Or you can go with something like this, for a Christmas ornament type thing. And I think that would look interesting too. So I don't know. Yeah, little things like that just open up some new possibilities for your kind of presentation of your pieces like this. And I think this, and on the whole, I think that looks really good in terms of the presentation of a card. Now this one makes it really big. I mean, you don't have to go this big. I could have gone, with a 1/4-inch border around that. I think that would look really good too, just in terms of card. This looks more like a frame to me. So I think that looks really good like that. And this gold foil, I mean, it's not, as cheap as like copy paper or something like that, but, 50 of these full-size sheets to a pack, it's like $17 on Amazon. So, I don't know. I think it's fairly affordable. And I think this makes for a really nice piece, if you do it big. But if you do it small too, I think it's a really special card for your recipient, If you do a smaller size, I think it could become, something that gets put up each year as a decoration that comes out, not just, the one-time Christmas card for that year, okay? You know what I mean? People might put something out year after year. And, I mean, that's quite an honor, to be put into, have one of your pieces be put into rotation or something like that, or, a Christmas card that gets, put out repeatedly, or, like I said, if you do it in small pieces, used as an ornament. And I think this extra kind of matting around it makes it, I don't know, it just kind of finishes the piece off as kind of a, I don't know, like, I don't know what the word is, return type of, or perennial type of card in terms of the appearance. Not perennial, but repeat appearances. Okay, so anyways, I hope you like this look here and whatnot. I think it would be great in the silver too, or you can mix and match maybe. You can go, possibly silver on gold or gold around silver, whatever. It might be kind of interesting. Or silver on silver. So I plan to play around with this dynamic a little bit more. But yeah, you can see that difference between, this and, the perimeter like that. So when you do stuff like this too, you're playing around with textures, okay? You're not playing around with color, but you're making a textural contrast between the two. And when you do those different types of things, those textural contrasts, and look how mirrored this one is. See how mirrored this is back here? But this isn't reflecting so much of that. It is a little bit, in the open area, but it's enough of a change where it kind of stands out. See how clear that is? And look how muted that little white glare is in there. So you see, it's just enough of a change, to make something like this, I think, viable as an option, okay? Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.